What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua, Jermaine Franklin. Get this. Eddie Hearn on Joshua Franklin. Eddie says, "I'm nervous. This is not a straightforward fight." Wow. Anthony Joshua has never worked harder in a training camp, but his promoter, Eddie Hearn, admits he is nervous ahead of the heavyweight's crucial return on April 1st. Two-time world champion Joshua is looking to bounce back from a back-to-back defeats to Alexander Usyk when he takes on Jermaine Franklin, which is 21-1. Jermaine Franklin at the O2 Arena, London next month. It will be Joshua's first fight since linking up with Derek James, and Hearn believes the move has driven the Londoner to his most punishing training camp in 10 years as a professional. But Joshua's career is on the line against Franklin, whose last fight was a controversial majority decision defeat to Dillian Whyte in November, a fight many thought the Michigan man won. And Hearn had this to say. He said, "AJ's looking good, but I'm nervous. People are saying this is a straightforward fight for Anthony Joshua, but it's not at all. Let's look at the facts. He's coming off of 2 defeats to a pound-for-pound number 1, Alexander Usyk, but you saw the emotional side of AJ in the last performance after the fight. Franklin is full of confidence coming off of the Dillian Whyte fight, and he looks all of a sudden about 20 pounds lighter as well, like I've been telling you guys. This is a big moment for Anthony Joshua's career. People are talking about fights against Deontay Wilder, Whyte, Fury, but he has to win April 1st. Franklin is a good fighter who is going to come well-equipped, but AJ has worked himself hard out there in humble surroundings. This is just him. Derek James and Errol Spence just work hard. I think this is the hardest he's ever worked in the camp, and I really hope that he can produce his performance that he deserves on April 1st, because I believe he's still in his prime, but he has to beat Jermaine Franklin." And let me counterpunch. Eddie Hearn should be nervous, but is he really nervous? We know the ticket sales are down. We know it ain't did what we normally see Anthony Joshua do. As far as performance and ticket sales, he had no problem until now. Okay. And now we still see a lot of seats. We still see people, criticizing the fact that he hasn't been able to sell at the O2. And normally, it's at Tottenham or Wembley or some bigger stadium, right? Now it's at O2 Arena. And if he has empty seats in O2 Arena, that just shows you that a lot of people they're not really interested in this fight. See, when Anthony Joshua lost for the first time, people wanted to see what he was going to do. Okay. And he showed up and showed out. He boxed Andy Ruiz. It broke pay-per-view numbers. People came out in droves, supported AJ. Everything was all right in the world. He goes and he beats Kubrat Pulev. Then he loses to Alexander Usyk in Tottenham Stadium. Then he loses again. But see, that time people wanted to see the second Usyk fight because they wanted to see if it was a fluke. They wanted to see if he could get better, which he did, but he still lost. Now, because he lost, that's the second time in a row. So no one really has that same appeal, because for a lot of people, they've already wrote him off like, okay, he can be beat and he couldn't come back from this defeat. Bars. But he's fighting another fighter. And I think people should keep that in mind, but also be realistic about it, like I think a lot of people are doing too. A lot of people are looking at Anthony Joshua like, okay, well, what warrants this fight? Yes, it's a do or die fight for him, but is this a fight we really want to see? And the answer is no. So the risk is high, but the reward is not as high as the risk. See, he could have fought anyone else. Jermaine Franklin is a good opponent because he showed Dillian Whyte what's up. But then here's the deal with AJ. AJ won't get the credit because when he smashes Jermaine Franklin, or if that happens, people are going to say, okay, well, we already knew that was going to happen. But if he loses, it's going to be that much worse. Okay, so the reward ain't as high as the risk. in this situation. So again, Eddie Hearn should be nervous because he knows that this is where it's at. He knows that Anthony Joshua's trained hard, but then again, he could just be, promoting like he does. He's a promoter by making people think that, hey, I'm nervous about this fight. Jermaine Franklin is coming in lighter, which he is coming in lighter though. So he's not lying. I think he's promoting based on the facts. Like Joshua's working hard out there in Texas and Jermaine Franklin is looking small. Therefore, I'm nervous. Oh my God, what am I to do? Please come see, watch, buy pay-per-view, bars. That's what Eddie's probably doing. And there could be all the above. Eddie Hearn might want the tickets to sell, so he wants to give his truthful frustration. Maybe exaggerated a bit. I'm nervous a bit, on the idea of Joshua losing again because he can't lose a cash cow because all it takes is Canelo to lose again. Then he will be what Frank Warren used to be. Right? Remember Don King? Don King was put out of business. Yeah. When Trinidad lost and a lot of his fighters fell off the grid, then, people started to try to look for Don King on a milk carton. Right? So, Eddie Hearn might be in that situation. So, yeah, he's probably a little nervous. Is he nervous enough to post that he's nervous? Probably not. But does he want to sell these tickets? Probably so. So here we go, guys. That's my counterpunch on Eddie Hearn. You guys tell me what you think about him. Eddie Hearn being nervous for Anthony Joshua. And this is not a straightforward fight. It's not a determined fight, according to Eddie Hearn. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.